Good morning, sanibusela sanamukela lo mhla ehleleni Kusile breakfast show Usini kesevukana sisicala impela somvo. It's a beautiful Friday morning, the 22nd of September. Only 6 days left to the secondary elections. Good morning and welcome. Kumbuka nje ukuthi you can also watch the show on our YouTube page, Eswatini TV. I'm with my co-host Umguni. Sfis, how do you do? It's a Friday?
Lulu, I can't believe it's only 6 days left. I can't believe it's only 6 days left before one of my secondary elections. But it is a very good morning to you. Kusile breakfast show. We've made it to the last day of the week. Lungelele will be starting the last week of the month very soon. Loktaba livikile litawuphitsitela kakhulu njengoba uvetile ukuthi sesitudane nawo ema secondary elections where everyone who is a registered voter, by the way, is encouraged to go out there and vote. So participation was high during the nominations and primary elections, but the secondary elections, for me, I feel like they matter more than everything else.
More than every stage of the elections, yes. And it is confirmed that Friday is a public holiday. Well cared for Lulukhulu on the 29th of September versus the 26th of September. Kunale special voting.
Yeah, outside of that, another development that we are still tracking this morning is the United Nations General Assembly. It is the 78th UNGA. It's currently ongoing in New York in the United States of America. We are aware now that His Majesty the King is there. Ikona a delegation lapha tiko letempilo likhona lapha. Sibonile nenvuna yaka Commerce Industry and Trade ivela in some of the ditfombe. So we're hoping ukuthi whatever it is that is being discussed kuyo le General Assembly, they will come back home bakhona ukuthi siqhubeke sithuthukise live la kaNgwane. Lungelela, I believe siphindze sinabo baka ERS this week.
ERS is a Friday as a norms. Let us we'll be talking to the communications director ka ERS Vusi Dlamini. Namuhla ke sikhuluma Graded Tax Repeal Act of 2023. As of 15 September 2023, the Eswatini Revenue Service has decommissioned the administration of graded tax with immediate effect. The personal identification ID number will be used for all government-related services and all other processes where the graded tax number is a requirement. So graded tax as of 15 September. Kepheke sabe sikhulumisana naye Vusi kabanti namuhla nga-6 kusichazela nje ukuthi ngabe mhlambe vele bafike njani kulesinqumo lesi ba ERS.
Yeah, we will also be joined by Fabrice Msonera, our in-house sports journalist, coming in today as an analyst. Kubuka imidlalo lesibukile liviki lisaqala both domestically, even in South Africa as well as internationally. We've seen the UEFA Champions League is back. Lungelele sasangitsiniwe kufika lana ngililele tihlelo te Manchester United. I know it's bad, but Fabrice Msonera will tell us more about that as well as lokwenteka lapha ekhaya later on the show. So ungayenza okanyalo.
Oh, of course, Sister Stabesina, Pastor Abednego, selanga lekhulu kusasa. Dr. Brown uyeta lapha eveni for Tinkonzo, the Holy Ghost and Fire tour, the much anticipated tour.
A lot of excitement around that.
Nigeria and all other 12 African countries, Eswatini included. So Sitabes Kumsana Naige lapha pasna nama Apostle Abednego Nchangasa ukuva ukuthi ngabe vele malungiselelo sekafika esigabeni esinganani. So khona nivele Dr. Brown eveni yini ebhekekile nje this weekend. So yes, we'll be talking to him at 7:30.
And where is Eswatini TV will be broadcasting nalapho live. So how can you hate on the station? Lungelele sikulethela konke live lokungathi nje ku exciting lapha eveni. Ngale kwaloko Lungelele, let's look at our leading headlines this morning Good Times of Eswatini.
Right, Good Times of Eswatini this Friday. Hinzabalenkulu coups, conflicts need unified solution ngekusho Gongwenyama kanti ke beyikhuluma khona emhlanganweni abaholi New York. Kuletinye lethamba embili sigangeni turned back voters case libandla le ABC lithi those are Futi's employees. Utige they were driven to polling station in 7-seater vehicle by employer Vusi ngekusho kwasihlalo waka ABC. Asike kuletinye ethamba imbili mystery as SOS people burns to death on mountain. Kulenye lehamba imbili on page 5 cabinet gives extension elections holiday confirmed.
What are lama headlines lawa lungelele? I am processed some of them. Yeah. Guma Sports, go Times of Eswatini, the leading story, done and dusted with free entry. PLE stars officials will now pay to watch games. Media not spared as limited generic accreditation will be issued. And again, on another one, welcome to Kusile Technical Center, as there's a new board for Yona Kusile Technical Center, Titombetayo, Natia Diabonagala Lapapasi. On another one, minister tossed 35 million emalangeni EFA Technical Center.
All right, so 6 minutes after 6, let's take a break. Spain 18 about Eswatini.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letiya ngaleso sikhatsi tindzaba letide magama lacosheme letitsembekile letitsinza tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV.
Mizuzu lesikhombisa ibumbene insimbi yesithupha lomhla ekuseni ake sibuke tindzaba talapha ekhaya. Silo semhlaba sithi eMaswati lasevenile eMelika bokhumbula eSwatini abuyele ekhaya nelwati lolutawusita kakhulu live ekutfuthukeni. Ingwenyama bephefumula ngesikhathi eMaswati lahlala eveni leMelika atawuvusela sona silo semhlaba.
Lamaswati ngulete even leMelika ngekutawufundza kutawusebenta nangetizatfu letinye tekuphila. Live leMelika ngulelinye lemave lanemaswati lamaningi lahlala khona uma kucathaniswa nalamanye emave emhlabeni. Lelinye live lelinemaswati lamaningi lahlala khona yiNingizimu Afrika, Engilandi neRepublic of China and Taiwan kubala lambalwa. Ingwenyama beyikathe isingethwe ngilonxuse lelive leSwatini kamhlaba His Excellency Thamini Dlamini, umvanenkosi Lindiwe, umvanenkosi Bheko kwakhe, Shifu Jozane, nendvuna yetangephandle nekubambisana lamanye emave. Imbube emhlaba seyikhuluma nemaswati eMelika ithe kumele yakhumbule ekhaya aye nelwati khona ekhaya futhi lapho atawukhona kubambisa live khona ekuthuthukiseni nasekufezeni umgomo welive wekubalelwa kumave lathuthukile.
Siyathokoza kwekusinanini yasebenza lapha siyakholwa ukuthi ndawusebenza kahle niphakamise igama leMaswati aqhubeke ahlonipheke eMaswati ngoba eMaswati atiwa ngenhlonipho nanokuba abantu abaphansi nabakwati kunetimisela nemsebenzi nangabokongana kwekusiya yawo nelive nakhile kulamalanga sikuma elections sivele singenele umkhankaso welekhetho nakwaphiwa uhulumende omusha lesikuthandazako sileMaswati sithandazaliwe ukuthi wonke kuhambe ngomoya omuhle, uhambe ngomoya wokuthula, uhambe nomoya wekubambisana lesikolo akonekwe ukuthi nasibambisene sikeMaswati kuyawusita kakhulu nelive lithuthuke leSwatini.
eMaswati ke aphindze futhi athola nelithuba lokuthi atetfulekiso silo asho nokusho ukuthi ede lapha ngasiphi isizathu nokuthi abuya ngaphansi kwamiphi imimango. Ingwenyama iphindze yapha abafundi isipho sekuthi bakhone kutinaka basaphila basaya edikolweni khona lapha emaveni.
Manje futhi ke khona labafundzako awu sebatawusonzela ngabo imvuna kukhona ingwenyama lethi lokho ke batawukhona futhi bagibele titimela uma baya esikolweni baye
kubika Pholile Maziya eNew York, eMelika.
Kulandzela ukuthi live lilungiselela lukhetfo lolukhulu lokuxhumanisa libandla lelikhetfo nemingcele embonisa Bhembe sokhute libayethe enkulumeni letfulwe silo emhlanganweni webaholi bemave emhlaba lubanjelwe edolobheni leNew York lapho khona silo sivete khona ukuthi lukhetfo even leSwatini luhamba kahle nekwekuthi tiyatfokotisa tinombolo temaswati lalungenele. Bhembe udumisele enkhulumo nakakhulumisana nalomsakato enkhanini kalobamba ngalwesine.
Emhlanganweni lochubekako wakamhlaba wema-76 lobanjwe eveni leMelika edolobheni leNew York, ingwenyama yemaswati ithole lithuba lekuphefumulela umhlaba lapho ivete khona ukuthi live leSwatini selisonzele esigabeni sekugcina selukhetho. Inkosi ichube inkulumo yayo ngekuveta ukuthi ulukhetho oluncane lohamba ngekuthula kanti nesive sikhomba kulithokotela lukhetho lonyaka ngalokutayelekile. Lokhu kubonakele ngebantu labatinkulungwane letingama583 583,000 lababhalisele lukhetho. Leli nani lakhalo kungama15 ekhulwini kubantu labaneminyaka le-18 kuya etulu. Lokhu kukhombe kuba ingcomphamlando kulandzela tinsolo letiketa bakhona ukuthi lukhetho lonyaka lungahle liphathamiseke kulandzela budlwangudlwangu live lelike labhekana nabo.
Ngingacala ngekukhutha lwandle kuyo inkulumo yesilo nasi phefumulela umhlaba wonke jikelele ikakhulu umhlangano webaholi bemave mave tasithombe semsebenzi wawo eMaswati welukhetho.
Sisakhulumisana nesive kulandzela inkulumo yesilo sikhombe intokodo ngekuthula lokukhona eveni kusachubeka lukhetho sabuya sathembisa ukuthi sitawuphuma ngetinkani kuyokwakha uhulumende waso elikhethweni lolukhulu.
Sisajabula ukuthi lihambe kahle lekhetho lokucala kube bede umsindo netihibe leblekhona ngaleyo ndlela sibuye usikule lesibili kube bede futhi inkinga lekubakhona
kubakhetha kahle ku primary elections. We hopefully siyathemba ukuthi kutawuhamba kahle nakulolo lukhulu.
Nje bekukahle kakhulu. Namanje sifisile ukuthi abantu bangene bajoyine mhla ka29 baqhubeke bakhethe kube kahle ongekhambe kahle.
Nasakha kwethu ngeke sisale. Ngoba lo mthetho lo yoshaywa le ubukele thina eMaswati.
Loluncane luhambe kahle sesithandazela kusina lolukhulu lusihambele kahle.
Kulamalanga lasiphohlongo lasele eMaswati kubheke ukuthi akhe hulumende noma iparlamente yeli12 lapho khona kubheke ukuthi avote itigabeni letinzathu lokufaka ekhatsi lilunga leparlamente tinduna tetinkundla kanye nebucopho. Lobika kwetindzabeni teSwatini TV umpendulo Gumbi na Fabrice Musonera sisenghanini kalobamba.
Kulandzela umhlangano lomkhulu webaholi bemave lochubekako lobanjwa njalo ngeminyaka lobanjelwe eNew York eveni leMelika. Silo semhlaba sithi live leSwatini lisemkhankasweni wekusukumisa tinhlelo letawuvula ematfuba emisebenzi latawucasha yona insha.
Insha yelive leSwatini ilinganiselwa ama-65 semaphesenti phecelezi 65%. Ngako tinyenti tingqinamba insha lebhekana nato, kepha lehamba embili nguleyo yokuswelakala kwemisebenti. Ingwenyama mayithula inkulumo yayo emhlanganweni lomkhulu webaholi bemave i-UN Assembly, ifakile indzaba yensha lapho ithi live lisemkhankasweni wokusukumisa tinhlelo kanye nemabhizinisi latawuvula ematfuba emisebenti latawucasha yona insha.
Siyabonga inkulumo yengonyama, sibonga kakhulu ngokusikhuthata etintfweni etinengi. Sibonga nje kakhulu, siyawucela nomsebenzi ukuthi nalabanye nalabancane labangangami ngazi ukuthi lo msebenzi wetandla ingaba ngiyo nalokuthi sikhona kusitakala nakulabanye.
Jabulile kuva inkulumo yenkosi noma sekusho ukuthi sitawuvulekelwa matfuba emsebenzi sibamfla abasha.
Sicela kubonga inkosi yethu uMswati. Sithembe ukuthi lethi tasendela kona lokuhle. Nalokuthi ikhonile ukusibambela umhlangano khona ukuthi siphezekise amaphupho ethu ukuthi nasicetha isikole sikhona ukuthi sithole imisebenzi.
Ingonyama isikhala esiningi nje ivame ukukhuluma nje into letakako. Singabonga nangabe kutholakala lemisebenzi nje kanti abantu abasha nabo bakhona lokusebenza.
Sibonga inkosi ukuthi ikhulumile about ngokuthi masiqeda isikole sifuna sithole umsebenzi, isho kukhulu vele kuphila without umsebenzi.
Sikhulumisana nemchumaniso wenhlangano lebuke bamfla abasha sibonga konke mamba. Uthi bayinhlangano batibophele ukuthi bakhe tinhlelo kanye namabhizinisi letitotfutfukisa yona insha. Kanti-ke itandla tivulekile ngekuchasa labo labafuna kucala emabhizinisi. Ngekusho kwelicwaningo leminyaka lophelile, lizinga lensha lengasebenzi kuleli lilinganiselwa 40 49%, lokuyinkhomba ukuthi live kumele lakhe imitamo yokufeza umgomo wesiphohlongo wemhlabuhlangene lothi ngeminyaka wa-2030 kumele wonke umuntu abasebenta umsebenzi ongcono kude kukhule umnotfo. Lopikako nguSindiso Zwane, Ana Fabrice Msonera, eMbabane.
Baxhumanisa emaphoyisa nesive ephindile vilakati uthi sive asichubeke nekuwatisa emaphoyisa uma ngabe sibona tibhamu letingekho emthethweni, njengoba ke tigcina tithatha imiphefumulo yesive tiphindze tisentshetiswe kwenteni bugebengu. Vilakati bekakhuluma ngesikhathi tinsathelo talomsakato ticocisana naye mayelana nenkhulumo yenkosi Mswati wesithathu lethule emhlanganweni lochubekako kumhlabuhlangene. Ingwenyama ikhulume ngekutimisela kwalale Eswatini ekugcineni umyalo wenhlangano yemave ase-Afrika, i-African Union, wekuthi awuphele umsindo wetibhamu kuleli vekati lase-Afrika.
Solo siyasicela sive ukuthi tibhamu letingekho emthethweni asitilethe emaphoyiseni. Sivile ukuthi nasemhlanganweni lomkhulu wemhlaba wonke nesilo semhlaba sifisile ukuthi wonke umuntu evenda kangwane abe ngilo babede sibhamu lesingekho emthethweni nasikhona asilethe lo naso kube ngilota khona kusebenzisa ngendlela lefanele.
Kanti-ke ngakulokunye vilakati becwayisa sive ngebugebengu lokumele banikati betinombolo babucaphele.
Lokuningi nje lokuvama kuvela ku social media uthola sikwake waba khona. Sibonile nakulamalanga kuvele info lekuyavela ngaphambilini ithi kunebucala lobendekako. Mhlambe noma kungenteki lakithi kwenteka kulamanye amave singacela ukuthi sive nalakithi sikunake. Lapho khona uthola ukuthi abantu bafika bathatha number plate yemoto yakho bese sebayakulandzela bakumisa endleleni kwasamuntu lo ngathi babona ngathi uwele ngile number plate kanye sebanetinhloso letimbi. Sithi ke sive asisicaphelise kakhulu sibagathe bantu lesebafuna ukukumisa nje sinoma kanjani. Buka indzawo yakho ukuthi iphephile yini, bacele ukuthi niyoma endzaweni lengaba safe njengemagaraji noma ke tikolo noma tibhedlela nangabe tikhona tfutane kuze ukuthi uphephe kakhulu kati etikhatsini tasebusuku.
Indvuna yelitiko letemafa Neil Reichenberg ithulumende usungule tinkampani letingumkhono wakhe ngenhloso ukuthi akhone kusebenta ngendlela letawuba nemthelela lobonakalako nangendlela lebhekekile. Indvuna ikhutsate baphathi betinkampani tahulumende ukuthi bafake umfutho baphindze banakisise ukuthi kuba nekusebenta lokusebaleni nekwekuthi letinkampani tisebenzisane tingachutselani. Indvuna beyikhuluma uma ivula umhlangano lotekati indzaba letiphatselene neligalelo lelifakwa tinkampani tahulumende, umhlangano lobobanjelwe eZulwini.
Libandla lebaphathi betinkampani tahulumende iEswatini Public Enterprise Association libambe umhlangano wokwengedwa lwati lwebaphathi ekuthenini kukhuliswe likhono lwekuphatha letinkampani tahulumende ngendlela letawufeza umgomo wahulumende. Ivula lo mhlangano indvuna yetemafa Neil Reckenberg ikhutsatela baphatsi kutsi batisebentise netindlela tebuchwephesha tesimanje kute kufezeke le migomo.
By setting up semi-autonomous public institutions, the government is seeking to achieve optimal efficiencies and effectiveness in the delivery of certain national services in terms of speed, cost, and effectiveness, as well as a professional approach to how we do things. We are therefore quite pleased to note that at your inaugural roundtable discussion, you have elected to focus on governance and effectiveness of state-owned enterprises as your chosen theme.
Umcwaningi mabhuku wahulumende Timothy Mathebula uthi kunesidingo sekuthi kufakwe tinhlelo ema-systems latawukhona ukuthi kusebenta kube ngilokungcono futhi lokubhekekile.
Everybody needs to comply, have the audited financial statements. So if actually there are delays, those delays will be, we are trying to fix that problem which we have not anticipated.
Simenyo lesibalulekile lesicocodze etindzabeni tebuholi i-governance Professor Adrian Saville wende sibonelo salapho adzabuka khona lapho athe kude emanti nagesi lokuyimphumela lemibi yenkhohlakalo.
This is what happens when governance collapses. That what were once very strong state-owned enterprises have been entirely corroded and compromised through political interference, state capture, mismanagement of funds, low levels of accountability, high levels of corruption.
Hulumende usukumise lihlelo lokunciphisa linani letinkampani tahulumende kusuka ku-49 kuthi ke tifike ku-31. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni kunathemba Shabangu ezulwini.
Indvuna yelitiko letemtsetfo nemtsetfosisekelo Pholile Shakhantu ithi live leSwatini libuyekete imitsetfo lecedza kugcindzeteleka kwalo lonke luhlobo lelicindzetela bantfu besifazane. Indvuna yethi leSwatini alikagcini lapho njengoba lisayine netivumelwano takamhlaba tekubophelela kucedza lubandlululo ngekwelibala lesekufakwe etinhlelweni telive kute titewusebenta ngalokuphelele. Indvuna beyikhuluma nayivula umhlangano lebewubanjwe ngetebuchwephesha lobewudeka tindzaba tekufaka tinhlelo tebulili kanye nekuhamba ngekukhululeka kwebantfu, i-gender migration and sustainable development goals.
Emhlanganweni lolungiselwe inhlangano yakamhlaba International Organization for Migration lobanjwe ngetebuchwephesha lovulwe indvuna yelitiko letemtsetfo nemtsetfosisekelo yalapha eSwatini. Pholile Shakhantu ivetele balingani bayo ngetintfo live lelitendile ekucedzeni nasekuncandzeni kubandlululeka kwebantfu besifazane kanye nebantfu bonke nje. Indvuna ithi hulumende uyabatisa kakhulu bumcoka belicwaningo ekwenteni imigomo kanye netinhlelo njengekuncoma kwelicwaningo lwe-Gender and Migration Research Policy Action Lab.
The Kingdom of Eswatini ratified the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, along with other key human rights agreements, including the 2 international covenants and the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. These fundamental instruments are duly integrated into our legislative and administrative system to ensure their effective implementation.
Indvuna ithi kuqinisekisa kuhamba ngalokukhululekile kwebantfu nengagcindzeteleki kwabomake nebantfu nje kutsi ngatisombululo letisekelwe licwaningo. Tindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni eMbabane.
Hulumende sewumemetele ukuthi lusuku lwamhla tinge-24 kulesetulu lilanga lekuphumula kuleli holide. Lokhu kumenyetelwe ngilosabambe kuba indvuna yetasekhaya sikhulundla luhlaza ndwandwe emhlanganweni nebetindzaba lobewubanjelwe emahhovisi yelitiko letasekhaya eMbabane.
Ngalesihlanu mzukwana tinge-24 inyoni ku-2023 lolo suku lolo litawa liholiday event laseSwatini. Bekunene lesinyathelo lesi sibalulekile sathi sonke ukuthi kulamalanga kunelukhetho loluqhubekako. Ngalolu suku lolu ke kutabe kulukhetho lokugcina lapho khona sive sibheke ukuthi siye etindzaweni taso ngekwehlukahlukana lapho siyokhetha khona. Kungako ke kuphakanyiswa ukuthi lolu suku lolu lube liholiday khona nalabasebentako batothola lithuba bahambe bayokhetha. Nalabo labangasebenzi kukhona lokhanza ukuthi bayanconcotha etinkampanini lapha nalapha bafuna yona imisebenzi. Nangabe ke lolu suku lolu liholiday kusho ukuthi nalabo labadelezele kuyofuna imisebenzi kutawube kuvaliwe lapho bayofuna imisebenzi khona. Bathole ke lithuba lekuthi babe setindzaweni tabo lapho kufanele ukuthi bayokhetha khona.
Kutemidlalo licembu lembabane Highlanders liya emidlalweni walo nembabane Swallows nemlando lokhomba ukuthi ungakubo njengoba ke ngibola abancobe imidlalo leminengi uma kucathaniswa imidlalo lamacembu lamabili la idlalile phambilini.
Nakuthola namacembu lamakhulu lapha event lokuyimbabane Highlanders kanye nembabane Swallows kuyeke kube nelisasasa lelikhulu ikakhulu kubo balandzeli. Lobudlalo lona ke uye ungapi ke ukuthi lamacembu lamabili adlale njani phambili njengobe naloyo udlala ngetimisela lokukhulu songesikhathi nakwendekile adibana. Kule mphela somva lamacembu atotholana ke ku-Imomo Cup playoffs lokungumdlalo emkhumula Jazz lokusho ukuthi kutobita ukuthi omabili lamacembu atimisela ngalokweqile ukuthi achubekele esigameni lesilandzelako sale midlalo. Lamacembu lamabili agcina kutholana endzebeni emkhumula Jazz ngeminyaka wa-2022 endzebeni yeNgwenyama Cup lapho khona Kenneth Moloto wagadla ligoli lelilotho lokwaba ngilo lencoba ngayo imbabana Highlanders lebe sekusigaba sela-16. Nangephansi ke kwendzebe MTN Premier League Highlanders ikhomba ke kuba nemandla njengobe nasibuka emuva emidlalweni lesithupha labayidlalile kuswa ngeminyaka wa-2021 iHighlanders incobeke imidlalo lemibili. ISwallows yancoba munye badlala ke ngekulingana kule mithathu imidlalo kanti ke iSwallows ishaya amagoli lamane kwathi iHighlanders yona yashaya lasihlanu. Kule mphela somva noke kutomele munye alineke iJazz lapho khona sekubonakala khona ukuthi sigebhu ngiso lesitawubhonsela eTulu noma ke kuyoba ngito tinyoni letindizela eTulu. Felix Berinhorst kanye naPhilane Mkhondo batobeke bawathwele wona emathemba ebalandzeli balamacembu lamabili. Lo mdlalo utadlala ngemigcibelo ngensimbi yesine emavuso Sports Center kaManzini. Lobekela umsakado weSwatini TV kutemidlalo ngiphathizwe Msibi eMbabane.
Asitiphethe lapho tindzaba lomhla ekuseni sibahlole emakethe sitawubuya nebaka ERS.
Ibandla letelukhetfo nemingcele Elections and Boundaries Commission bathi sasive kutsi kuvota ngalokukhetsekile special voting kutawuba mhla tingemashumi-26 kulesetulu 26 September 2023. Kanti lukhetfo lolukhulu lona lutawubanjwa mhla tingemashumi-29 kulesetulu 29 September 2023. Ngete ngasala nasakha live letfu.
Ngeke ngikuvotele bese unginiketa 200 emalangeni. Hayi ngeke akungelula.
Liphalishe iqiniso siyalifuna kepha kube kuyangami ngabe sawukhetha nabantu labatawuletha lushinjo balethe inguquko umuntu lotawuthi bantu labasha mango wakithi manifuna kuphila manifuna liphalishe nakule kufunani kwenye hayi ukuthi umuntu utasinika liphalishe utasinika masekangenile sitawusala sibe yini
Ezehle ushaya yona wena sibamvu labasha mhla ka29 asambeni siyowucedzela naku lesakucala siphume ngetinkhani siphelele simake sure ukuthi siyavota
umango wonke sambeni kuma secondary elections sikhethe nangumuntu wenhlitiyo yethu masingakhetha kahle singabe sincobile mngani
hayi laba sinike amapalishi bani labatasifundisa ukuthi lipalishi
uletha njani uqisile mngani
yemngani amasambe nkosiyami nayi nale khumbi yasemphakathi seyifikile
Hey, you're catching me at a good time. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I could spend this on. But before I do that, I'll send some of this off to my brother who can put it to good use. You see, there are hundreds of millions of people, like me, who work outside of their home country. Because sometimes people have to go where the opportunity is or where the instability isn't. That often means leaving families behind and earning a living elsewhere, but still sending money home for support. These money transfers are often called remittances. Communication and financial technology make it easier than ever to send money across borders. Let me show you. You pick the amount, pick the beneficiary, make sure all the information is correct, and send. Oh, that's my brother calling. Hey Alex, I just got the cash. It's just what I needed. Now I can pay for the doctor to look at my neck and get back to work. Thanks, man. Yeah, no problem. Feel better. Thanks again. Sending money back home makes it possible for people who live in wealthier countries to help family pay for the basics: food, housing, education, and medical expenses. Remittances help reduce poverty by moving money where it can make bigger difference for the people and countries who receive it. This helps spur investment and entrepreneurship and build savings that can help promote growth and development. So while this amount may get me a dinner and a movie here, for my brother it could help cover his rent or pay for those doctor's bills. In low and middle income countries, remittances can actually make up a good portion of economic activity, even the majority. For example, Mexico's remittances exceed revenue from oil exports. In Sri Lanka, they're greater than the value of the tea trade. And Egypt's remittances are worth more than its income from the Suez Canal. And they're also an increasing portion of the global GDP. In 2022, remittances amounted to $831 billion US. And that's just through official channels. So the number is probably a lot bigger. This money mainly flows into low and middle income countries where it adds up to more than foreign investments and development aid combined. One downside for those countries, though, is the cost of sending money through a service. Some charge a steep fee, up to 35%. Lowering the average service charge to just 3% would mean an extra $30 billion every year for low-income and developing countries. And that's money that would be better spent on family and friends. Ah, that's my brother calling again. Hey, how are you feeling? Much better now, thanks to you. Yeah, I'm glad I could help. Say hi to everyone back home.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Yakuvusela nawelo sanza kusivulela. It's a Friday. Yatu kusi on Friday sikhuluma tindzaba tebhadalwa kwemthelo with Communications Director ka-IRS Vusi Dlamini. Namhla ke sikhuluma kabanti nge-Approved Graded Tax Repeal Act of 2023. Leviteka ukuthi in line with this act, as of 15 September 2023, the Eswatini Revenue Service has decommissioned the administration of graded tax with immediate effect. The personal identification number, which is the PIN, will now be used for all government-related services and all other processes where the graded tax number is a requirement. I'm joined by Vusi Dlamini. Kuchazela kabanti ukuthi ingabe vele mhlambe lokhu kusho kuthini sisatha ukuchubeka sibhadale yini vele i-graded tax. Asivusele Nkosi, siyabonga ukuthi ube nathi on the show today. Njengoba nje sekuvelile Nkosi ukuthi as of 15 September lesekuthi vele sevele imvu leseyicalile ngekusho kwawo lo mthetho wa 2023. What does this mean?
Sibonge Lulu. Yes, it means, I think as you have introduced it, it means effective immediately. Njengoba sisho ukuthi lo mthetho ugazethwe mhla ka-15 September. Lokho ke kusho ukuthi kusukela ngaleso sikhathi lokusho ukuthi ngidawuthi kusukela manje vele i-graded tax ayisekho. Lokusho ukuthi kule minye imithelo lebesiyisebenta ke noma lelethwa sive noma ke lebhadalwa ngilawo mabhizinisi i-credit tax siyathi ukuthi beyibanjwa kuwe nangabe kusho ukuthi uyasebenza bekungoba kuba ngiloyo 18 emalangeni umcashi ke bese uyayiletha leyo mali ku-ERS bophindze futhi uyibhadale nangabe kusho ukuthi ufuna lelo bhasi na ungasebenzi especially nangabe uyi-mail bowubhadala sithi ngumthelo wenhloko ngeSiswati lokusho ukuthi bowubhadala kube ngu4 emalangeni 20 cents njalo ngeminyaka nangabe kusho ukuthi awusebenzi. So this effectively means immediately i-credit tax no longer exists. So it means as the ERS we are no longer going to collect it. So because it is no longer a tax that exists in the country.
Okay, kubuta nje ukuthi inkosi ingabe mhlawumbe ngiyadlo ukuthi isinqumo sahulumende lesiphathe nje I think lokuchaza nje ukuthi sifike kanjani lesinqumo lesi lokuthi vele sale scraper over credit tax salingabi khona.
I think if we were to go back a bit sibuyele emuva kancane sitawukhumbula ukuthi cishe bekuba khona kuma budget speeches ahulumende in previous years lapho bekathi khona i-credit tax is one of the taxes la nesifiso sekuthi hulumende mhlawumbe afise ukuthi igcine isuka. This is particularly because one bekubonakala kwangathi lokuyibutha yona le credit tax is now costing government more than, because as you can imagine it is only 18 emalangeni, it was only 4 emalangeni 20 cents for labangasebenzi. So it was very expensive for the government. Actually, I'll say the government because whatever les kwenda kutsine as the ERS, the cost yago yonke iperishwa nguhulumende ngoba we are sifundwa nguye hulumende. So the cost of collecting it was actually higher than the actual tax itself that we are collecting.
Yeah, ngalendlela lechaza because I think some of us vele bese sikhohlwe lo credit tax exist ngalokuthi mhlambe bese sisincane kakhulu mhlambe isithengo sayo. Besebenta kuphi yona vele kahle kahle?
I-credit tax the number itself beyisetshenziswa ngicabanga ukuthi it's a historic issue because sitawukhumbula ukuthi for a long time in the country we didn't have a personal identification number. So i-credit tax number was the personal identifier basically for a longest time before go introduce a personal identity number, which is the PIN, which is on your ID card. The credit tax number bekusebenta yona for different things. Nanga bekusho ukuthi ufuna umsebenzi, for instance, bekudzingeka ukuthi at some point in time ube nayo lelo pass noma ke lelo paper leso sicepezana labanye bathi spikvan, which you are bo submita kona kuloyo mcashi kusho ukuthi nangabe niyangicasha na leli pass lami lelisho ukuthi inombolo yami lengida uyisebenzisa also for kubhadala umthelo kusho ukuthi bekuba ngileyo nombolo. Beyisetshenziswa nasetintweni letinye letinengi. I think if you ubuka i-driver's license langembili inayo vele i-credit tax number. Cishe tinengi vele nangabe ubhalisa leyo moto cishe kusetshenziswa vele kuletinto cishe leti stawuthi ikakhulukati ema-government services. Le act ke lena lokurephila lo mthetho lena ke noma lokususa lo mthetho kusho ukuthi uspecific ukuthi kusho ukuthi kusukela manje loku i-credit tax seyirephiliwe noma seyisusiwe i-PIN sekutawuba ngiyona nombolo letawusetshenziswa for all the government related services. Nathi ke ngakithi because as the ERS nathi sibheka ukuthi baqashi nangabe basilethela leyo imbiko yabo imibiko yekusebenta noma ke kubutha imithelo yetisebenzi. Previously bebasebenzisa i-credit tax kusho ukuthi kunalungelele kunavusi kunabani nange ma-credit tax numbers abo. Nyalo ke sesithi batawusebenzisa yona le personal identity number. Yes.
Okay. Lo sho nje ukuthi inkosi ngoba njengoba osho ukuthi vele beyithathwa annually lo 18 amalangeni annually emiholweni mhlambe yarabo labasebenza kwalo sho ukuthi kusukela next year nje angeke isafakwa i-credit tax ngeke sayibhadalela.
Kunjalo lolu. Actually as we say labanye bobakhanza ukuthi bayibamba njalo ngenyanga because it was 1 langa and 50 cents per month, then it would go to the 18 emalangeni. But sabe sesiyashintsha sithi akwendiwe njalo ngenyanga lokusho ukuthi yes, effective immediately, which in the case of employers normally bayibamba nakucala umnyaka wemthelo lokusho ukuthi July next year akukabheke ukuthi bayibambe because it no longer exists.
Yeah. So ngifuna ukuthi ukuthi ingabe mvele mhlambe ngiyahle ukuthi vele kube isinqumo nje sanyalo 15 September and solo nisazama nanini ngu-ERS to make away companies, government services nalaba nje labendisa wona lama licenses ukuthi sekudevelop credit test just in case bayifuna mhlambe bayifaka as a requirement nasendela ama government services. Ingavele mhlambe kukhona endeni kwendile kuzama kwadisa leto nkampani la ma government services ukuthi vele sekudele credit tax nokuthi makabe afika loyo mvulo bamfuna i-credit tax kwenda kanjani asekuthiwa nje bayamjikisa ende kumele ayende ukuthi akhona ukuthola lisito.
Yes, I think as part of what we are doing now is to create that awareness. Sesikufakile nasemaphepheni, we will be sending to different companies, Nguba informer, particularly those that are employers. We expect that the government ministries and departments labatsinga i-credit tax with the repeal, they will know what to do because sibelieve ukuthi lokuthi lo mthetho awusekho kusho ukuthi awusekho. It's not necessarily ukuthi it's a choice, so it does mean because lo mthetho uspecific ukuthi everywhere la kudzingeka khona i-credit tax number. From now going forward sekudodzingeka i-personal identification number. So, and I think the other thing I need to also mention ukuthi usphinze ube clear ukuthi if you have a PIN or credit tax number that you have been using or is actually on certain documents, angibekise i-license yakho in a credit tax number. What then happens? I think le repeal ya lo mthetho it will be valid for the next 5 years. That number on that document, or rather that document which has the credit tax number, and we would expect that after that maybe it will mean naso uyenda kabusha leyo document seyitawuba nephini ke ngeke ke umuntu bese uthi kuwe nangabe ahlangana nawe lamuhla abona leyo document lene credit tax number athi i-credit tax ayisa exist, so you no longer supposed to have that document. Uthi le repeal yalo mthetho for the next 5 years that will still be valid.
Shothi nalo nje lethe mhlambe this year it will be valid for the next 5 years.
Yes, okay. And then it would then mean I think after that, if I'm begging, my assumption is that now we are going to renew a leyo license or whatever. Let's say le ordinarily be in a credit tax number. So itawubana le pin gele shalo tawu bese uyithatha kabusha.
Okay. Keba who was exempted from paying the credit tax? I think we should always put in long as sebendi naye bekati kanza ibhatala. Bakhona mhlambe lebebanga labebanga ibhatala credit tax.
I think all employees they would be expected to pay credit tax at 18 emalangeni as long as uqashiwe, and then I think also for males now ngabe ungakaqashwa it was only the males lebekabhatala for emalangeni 20 cents per year, and then females were not paying.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's different. All right. Ngeze kwagcina nje dlamini mhlambe labafuna nje ukuxhumana nani kubuta kabandi ngemithelo ngebhadala kwemithelo bangaxhumana nani kuphi?
Inombolo tethu futhi khona inombolo yethu it's your contact center is 2406 4050. Sikhona na WhatsApp 7606 3735. We are also on Facebook. We encourage people to contact us there. On our Facebook page, they can also send us inbox messages.
Yeah, right. Thanks so much. Usima kakhulu Nkosi Mbukeli sokuthi vele ukuthi i-credit tax eseyisusiwe ngekusho umthetho repeal act eminyaka wa 2023 sengeke isadingeka uma ngabe udinga lusitolo kwahulumende njengoba savetile Vusi lapha ke kuva kabandi ungachumana nabo enombolweni dabo ka-ERS. Asithathe ikhefu sithabe sichubeke.
What do you think the best part of traveling is? Is it the food, or is it the conversation, or is it the sights and sound? If you're ready to explore, we are ready to show you the best way how. We'll give you access to the best luxury getaway sites in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and of course show you vacation sites that suit your budget, because you do not need a lot of money to actually have a great time. Join us on the next adventure on Buhle Bethu, only on Eswatini TV.
Yeah, we're back, and we have an interesting clip that we want to look at, Lungelele. But before that, there was an interesting conversation you had with Vusi. The changes...
It was long overdue.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I feel like you didn't have enough time to explore everything that you wanted to, to explore, because there could be some other questions that could be, answered regarding this change, Lungelele. But quite an interesting change.
Interesting. So I think nalokhu nje akuvete vuseloko ukuthi bangabe vele bazovela unalo credit tax it'll be valid for the next 5 years, but emva kwaloko vele angeke sayibhadala ngisho nemcashi ngeke sayithatha emholweni wethu, because bekathatha either 1 amalanga and 50 cents per month or athathe 18 amalanga annually.
Wow.
Now nje umthetho
Yeah, and then people thought it was more than that.
More than that, yeah.
Anyway, we will look at a clip pertaining online gig work. What is online gig work? We'll learn today.
Online gig work is opening a new horizon for jobs in developing countries. It holds significant potential for young people, women, and other vulnerable groups, but also comes with challenges. The World Bank report, Working Without Borders, The Promise and Peril of Online Gig Work, provides recommendations for countries to leverage these opportunities and mitigate risks while expanding social protections for all. Over the past decade, technology has fundamentally shifted traditional work patterns. It has brought economic opportunity and jobs to millions of people simply with access to broadband and a digital device. Online gig work is work that is performed and delivered online, independent of location. These jobs now account for as much as 12% of the global labor force, a number higher than earlier estimates. While developed countries dominate the demand for gig workers, demand from developing countries is rising at a much faster rate. For example, in sub-Saharan Africa, job postings on the largest digital platform grew by 130%, while the growth rate in North America was just 14%. A flexible workforce benefits businesses, especially small firms and startups, to remain competitive and agile in a dynamic market. This helps firms grow and create more jobs. Unsurprisingly, 3/4 of online platforms are in fact regional or local, and not global. The online gig economy can play an important role in countries that are struggling with high levels of youth unemployment or underemployment. Young people are attracted to gig work to earn income, learn new skills, or have the flexibility to combine gig work with school or another job. And because online gig work provides flexibility in time and location, it can support increased participation for women, young people, and others in the labor market. In fact, in most regions, women are participating in the online gig economy to a greater extent than they are participating in the general labor market. Online gig work can also help extend work opportunities in smaller towns and villages beyond large capital cities. In fact, 6 in 10 online gig workers live in smaller cities. But gig work is not without risks. In low-income countries, most people work outside the purview of labor regulations without access to social insurance and benefits. And for many gig workers, especially young people, there is often an unclear career pathway. A considerable wage gap also still exists. For example, on a major gig platform in Latin America, a female online gig worker's wage is only 68% that of her male counterparts. Governments and the private sector both have important roles to play in harnessing this potential while also addressing the risks. Digital platforms can help increase the visibility of informal workers. This can also support government efforts to expand social protection coverage for all. Some private companies are developing solutions to facilitate tax planning, savings, and financial access for gig workers. To support equitable, affordable broadband access, especially for disadvantaged groups like youth, women, and people in rural and hard-to-reach areas, countries can also prioritize investments to improve access to digital infrastructure, devices, and payment options. Countries can enhance social protection coverage of gig workers, partner with platforms, and experiment with new social insurance models and more modern, digitally enabled forms of collective bargaining. And governments can invest in strengthening their own capacity to collect data and monitor labor market trends in real time.
Yeah, online gig work, Lungelele Nambugele Kaya. It's a new phenomenon. Gig work has been quite normal outside of, just the digital platforms. My freelancers in particular, I end up outside of the digital economy. But now, the digital economy aspect of it, where freelancers find gigs through online platforms.
Yeah, I think it is more common kakhulu sifisa ngetikhathi te-COVID they were more in their houses, but for freelancer jobs. And also, unlike traditional employees, gig economy workers, they lack the security, the perks, and employee benefits that come with being a full-time employee. Like, for an example, they usually have to provide for their own health insurance, retirement plans, and other benefits that a traditional employee might get as part of their compensation package. However, gig workers, they tend to enjoy more flexibility. They are considered independent workers who can pursue other jobs or side hustles based on their schedules and interests. Plus, many gig roles offer the luxury of working from any location.
Yeah, I think that's the best benefit. Working from any location means even working from your own, the comfort of your own bed. Think of, ride sharing. Uber, Lyft, the food delivery app, DoorDash, Instacart for grocery delivery, for work that can be done remotely, such as graphic design or virtual assistant. Businesses might look to a platform like Upwork, such as contracting a graphic designer to create a pamphlet, a logo, a company, logo on your computer, and those are some of the benefits. A lot of industries, tech, education, finance. We just had Babel Lamini from ERS. They now rely on gig work to fill labor gaps, reflecting its versatility and the growing demand for flexible work arrangements.
Yeah, I think also there are also benefits and challenges. If you're interested in gig work, make sure you understand the pros and cons that come with this type of work, and also just to help you weigh your options. Explore both sides. The benefits, benefits is flexibility. Gig workers often have the freedom to choose when, where, and how much they work. This is especially beneficial for those who have other commitments or prefer non-traditional work hours. For example, a rideshare driver might choose to work only during peak demand times to maximize earnings, while a freelance writer might opt to write early in the morning before their kids wake up. And another benefit is independence. Being your own boss means taking charge of your projects, rates, and workflow. This also can be a big plus if you're a self-starter and thrive in environments where you have the freedom to make decisions. For instance, a freelance graphic designer can also choose clients that align with their style, while a consultant might pick projects based on interest or expertise.
Yeah, that come with these things so benefits. Now the diverse opportunities. When online you have different clients, you are able to say, I want to work with this one, I don't want to work with this one, because now it's a thing. In Vole Corner, the demand is also there. The range of opportunities in the gig economy, all those things, some of the benefits in this new phenomenon, which I think the youth especially is, taking up. The uptake from the youth is quite high. Double e-commerce readiness just a couple of weeks ago, seeing what the Ministry of the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, the Ministry of ICT, but the regulator, Eswatini, doing a great job in making sure that our e-commerce economy is fertile for ukuthi bantu insha but take up space bakhona kuyisebenzisa.
Yeah, all right. So that's gig work. It's basically working from home. You can also walk dogs, take dogs for their walks. Just to make extra money. There are benefits and also the pros and cons of gig work.
Yeah, I think we've come to the end of this particular segment. We will go for a quick break. So we are square and
Ngeke ngikuvotele bese unginiketa 200 emalangeni. Hayi ngeke akungelula.
Liphalishe iqiniso siyalifuna kepha kube kuyangami ngabe sawukhetha naba bantu labatawuletha ushintsho balethe inguquko umuntu lo tawuthi bantu labasha mmango wakithi manifuna kuphila manifuna liphalishe nakule kufunani kweni hayi ukuthi umuntu utasinika liphalishe utasinika mase kangenile sitawusala sibe yini
Ezehle ushaya yona wena sibamvu labasha mhla ka29 asambeni siyawucedzela naku lesakuqala siphume ngetinkhani siphelele simake sure ukuthi siyavota
ummango wonke sambeni kuma secondary elections sikhethe nangumuntu wenhlitiyo yethu masingakhetha kahle singabe singcobile mngani
hayi la basinike amapalishi bani labatasifundisa ukuthi lipalishi
uletha njani ayisile mngani
yemngani amasambe nkosiyami nayi nale khumbi yasemphakathi seyifikile
Bongosi egameni lelibandla letelkhetho nemingcele tingudla ngingusihlalo walo libandla sihlanganyela nesive malangeni lamahle kuhalalisela ingwenyama inkosi yethu inkosi Mswati wesithathu minyakeni lamashumi lasihlanu nakuhlanu kanye nelive longana kundiphethe wethu ukuthi lo lingana nabo netinsuku tengwenyama letingu 55 nananathi sisive seMaswati sina leminyaka ilengu 55 sesikhululekile ngandiphethe siyabonga ke bongosi sisahalalisele emakhosi ethu nelive ukuthi nebayitolo lekungibona lesithi te basebenta lelive makhosi ayitolo nesive seMaswati sonke sayitolo ngoba lokhu lesesifike lamhla siyasakukhanza lesikuhalaliselako ngilokuchamuka kibo lekubita ke ukuthi ke nathi siMaswati njengekukhonjwa indlela amakhosi ngosi yelive sichubekeni silibeke live libe ngiloko lekungona lesikukhanzile nathi nalokungcono Maswati silibandla lelikhetho nemingcele sisahalalisele emakhosi nelive ngandiphethe sijinga siphinze futhi siwabongele emakhosi ngemsebenzi losedulo eveni welikhetho sisitengcile tigaba tokuqala lebesikito nyalo ke sekuseleke sigaba lesesisedulu ke yokungisona sona ke lesisitawu siniketa iparlamente yethu isinikete futhi emabandla enkundla lekuba ubuchopho ke lobakhiwa induna tetinkundla lekungibona bosihlalo bese ke nabobuchopho bemiphakathi benkundla labakha lobuchopho lelibandla lenkundla lekungilona lelisebenzisana kanye neparlamente nahulumende welive leMaswati wonkana bongosi emalanga umuntu akandlulise lokuthi umhla ka-26 we-special voting bese ulandzela ke umhla ka-29 September walolukhetho lelukhulu lukhetho lwesibili lesongilona loluyi-final ngalawo magama amalangeni sikhutha lwandle sibongele live bongosi bayethe wena waphakathi wena ungangezindaba Bose.
Welcome back. This is the news. His Majesty King Mswati III says Amaswati who are currently living in the United States of America should remember to go back home with knowledge and experience that will assist the Kingdom of Eswatini to develop in many aspects. The King was addressing Amaswati who are currently residing in the United States of America.
These are Eswatini who are currently residing in the United States of America due to various reasons like working in this country, for education, and other various reasons of life. The United States of America is one of the countries with a huge number of Eswatini living away from home. Other countries with the highest number are the Republic of South Africa, the United Kingdom, and the Republic of China and Taiwan, to name a few. Present during the event was a Eswatini ambassador to the United States of America, Her Royal Highness Princess Lindiwe, His Royal Highness Prince Begogwakhe, Chief Jozane, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Ingwenyama, addressing Eswatini in New York, said they should note that they are supposed to go back home with their knowledge and expertise to assist the country in development and to attain its first world status.
Siyathokoza wekusinani niyasebenza lapha siyakholwa ukuthi ndawusebenza kahle niphakamise igama leMaswati aqhubeke ahlonipheke eMaswati ngoba eMaswati atiwa ngenhlonipho nanokuba abantu abaphansi abakwati kuneptimisela nemsebenzi nangabobongana kwekusi yawo nelive lakhile kulamalanga sikuma elections sivele singenele umkhankaso welekhetho nakwaphiwa uhulumende omusha lesikuthandazako sileMaswati sithandaza ukuthi wonke kuhambe ngomoya omuhle, uhambe ngomoya wekuthula, uhambe ngomoya wekubambisana. Lesikholwa konekwe ukuthi nasibambisene sikeMaswati kuyawusita kakhulu nelive lithuthuke leSwatini.
Eswatini got a chance to introduce themselves to His Majesty and further stated their reasons why they are in this country. His Majesty gave the students a gift to take care of their needs while in this country. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia in New York, in the United States of America.
His Majesty King Mswati III has revealed that Eswatini is ranked number 9 amongst the 10 African countries with the highest GDP per capita. The King was speaking during the 78th UN General Assembly in New York. When making his remarks at the 78th UN General Assembly, His Majesty King Mswati III said Eswatini has been ranked top 5 by the World Bank for growing her economy with a GDP growth at about 7.8%. His Majesty said Eswatini has attained the second greatest manufacturing value added per capita country, and she is placed 6th on the 2022 Africa Industrialization Index. Furthermore, the king said Eswatini has been ranked number 9 amongst the 10 African countries with the highest GDP per capita. This was made possible by government through the implementation of programs that are aimed at ensuring the sustainable growth of the country's economy for the benefit for all who live in it, as per the aspirations of the Strategic Roadmap 2019 to 2022. And these include the setting up of a relief fund valued at 90 million malangeni through the Eswatini Revenue Service, improving Eswatini's business environment through the ease of doing business, infrastructure investment and innovation, agriculture, tourism, mining and energy, promoting an export-driven economy, manufacturing and the creation of jobs. According to the World Bank open data, Eswatini's GDP for 2022 was $4.85 billion, a 2.22% increase from 2021. Eswatini's GDP for 2021 was $4.75 billion, which was a 19.25% increase from 2020. Reporting, I'm Lungilele Makakula in Babane. Following the highly expected secondary elections on the 29th of September, the Communications Officer of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, Bonisi Pembe, has praised His Majesty's United Nations address in New York. The King highlighted that the 2023 primary elections were a great success, and the statistics are registered in Maswati is convincing that the upcoming secondary elections will be exceptional.
Delivering his speech in the 78th United Nations General Assembly in New York, His Majesty said the 2023 primary elections were peacefully conducted and Emaswati are showing great interest as we head towards the secondary elections. The King says this has been observed through the 583,000 people who registered for the 2023 elections, forming 95% of Emaswati qualifying to vote. This statistic is a historic record following suspicions that this year's elections will be disrupted following the recent political tensions in the country. In an interview with the Eswatini Boundaries and Elections Commission's Communications Officer Mbonisi Pembe, he praises His Majesty's remarks and further reveals that the statistics of registered Emaswati is a true reflection that Emaswati are fond of their country, and he encouraged them to exercise their right and vote.
Kuzo kuyo inkulumo yesilo nasiphefumulela umhlaba wonke jikelele, ikakhulu umhlangano webaholi bemave tasithombe semsebenzi wawo eMaswati welukhetho.
In an interview with Same Maswati following His Majesty's remarks, they sounded happy on how peaceful the elections are and are promising to participate in the final leg, which is the secondary elections.
Sisajabula ukuthi lihambe kahle lekhetho lokuqala. Kube bede umsindo netihibe leblekhona. Ngaleyo ndlela sibuye usuku lesibili kube bede futhi inkinga lekuba khona.
Bakhetha kahle ku primary elections. We hopefully siyathemba ukuthi kutawuhamba kahle nakulolo olukhulu.
Nje bekukahle kakhulu. Namanje sifisela ukuthi abantu bangene bajoyine mhla ka29 baqhubeke bakhethe kube kahle ongekhambe kahle.
Nasakha kwethu ngeke sisale ngoba lo mthetho lo yoshaywa le ubukele thina eMaswati.
Loluncane luhambe kahle sesithandazela kuthina lolukhulu lusihambele kahle.
Winners of the secondary elections will form part of the 12th Parliament and are expected to play a fundamental role in helping government achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. For Eswatini TV, I'm Pendulo Kumbi with Cindy Swazwane and Fabrice Musonera, Mbabane.
His Majesty King Mswati III has addressed the issue of youth unemployment in the Kingdom of Eswatini. He said the nation seeks to create job opportunities where the youth will be employed. Young people in the country have reacted positively to His Majesty's address at the United Nations.
The overall youth population for the year 2023 is 65%, which increases problems faced by the youth, but the most important one is the rate of unemployment. His Majesty King Mswati III addressed this issue during the UN Assembly, where he mentioned that Eswatini is in process of creating job opportunities or opening businesses to keep the youth busy.
Siyabonga inkulumo yengonyama, sibonga kakhulu ngokusikhuthaza etintweni eziningi. Sibonga nje kakhulu, siyacela nomsebenzi ukuthi nalabanye nalabancane labangangami ngazi ukuthi lo msebenzi wetandla ingaba ngiyo nalokuthi sikhona kusitakala nakulabanye.
Jabulile kuva inkulumo yenkosi noma sekusho ukuthi sitawuvulekelwa mathuba emsebenzi sibamfla abasha.
Sicela kubonga inkosi yethu Mswati. Sithembe ukuthi lethi asendela kona lokuhle. Nalokuthi ikhonile ukusibambela umhlangano khona sisiphezekise amaphupho ethu ukuthi nasicethe isikole sikhona ukuthi sithole imisebenzi.
Ingonyama isikhala esiningi nje ivame ukukhuluma nje into letakako. Singabonga nangabe kutholakala lemisebenzi nje kanti abantu abasha nabo bakhona lokusebenza.
Sibonga inkosi ukuthi ikhulumile about ngokuthi masiqeda isikole sifuna sithole imisebenzi kukhona vele kuphila without umsebenzi.
During a phone call conversation with the Communications Officer for Youth Council, Sibonga Konke Mamba, she said the Youth Council is working so hard to bring job opportunities to youth and is willing to fund those who need funding in starting their own businesses. According to research, the Eswatini youth unemployment rate for 2022 was 49%, which proves that Eswatini has to create more job opportunities and hire the youth in order to fulfill Sustainable Development Goal number 8, which talks about reaching decent work and economic growth. Reporting is Cindy Swazwane with Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
The Chief Police Information and Communications Officer Pindile Vilagati encourages the nation to alert the police when they see suspected illegal guns anywhere in the country. She says such guns end up being used in the commission of crimes and the killing of innocent people. Vilagati said this when speaking to Eswatini TV journalists concerning His Majesty King Mswati III's speech, which he delivered at the United Nations General Assembly, where in his speech His Majesty emphasized the country's commitment to the African Union's call for the silencing of guns in Africa.
We have had even the heads of the country in the meeting they are having, they are emphasizing on surrendering of such firearms that are in the wrong hands. So as a country as well, we are encouraging people to surrender those firearms that are not lawful, and further, anyone who might know anyone who's holding such should report to the nearest police station. Also remember that the National Commissioner announced that people can surrender the firearms that are illegal, so that door was never closed. People should continue bringing such firearms so that we can be safe.
The Minister for Finance, Neil Rackenberg, says governments establish public enterprises with the aim of achieving efficiencies and effectiveness in the delivery of certain national services. Rackenberg says these required services should be provided faster using a professional approach. The minister was speaking during an engagement session on governance and the effectiveness of public enterprises hosted by the Eswatini Enterprise Association.
In a bid to sharpen and improve governance and the effectiveness of public enterprises in Eswatini, managing directors and chief executive officers of government enterprises were sharing ideas on how these enterprises can be in a position to deliver as per their mandate. The Minister for Finance, Neil Rackenberg, encouraged the executives to promote robust governance practices.
By setting up semi-autonomous public institutions, the government is seeking to achieve optimal efficiencies and effectiveness in the delivery of certain national services in terms of speed, cost, and effectiveness, as well as a professional approach to how we do things.
The Auditor General, Timothy Matsebula, encourages enterprises to set up systems that will ensure delivery.
Everybody needs to comply, have the audited financial statements. So if actually there are delays, those delays will be, we are trying to fix that problem which we had not anticipated.
Dr. Adrian Saville, the main speaker, gave an example of where he comes from, that there is scarcity of water and electricity, which is as a result of corruption.
This is what happens when governance collapses, that what were once very strong state-owned enterprises have been entirely corroded and compromised.
The government of Eswatini has commissioned a consolidation exercise of state-owned enterprises, which will result in the reduction of 49 enterprises to 31. Eswatini TV News, Sondo Mlangeni, Thamba Shabango, Ezulwini.
The Minister for Justice, Kusile Shakantu, says the government of Eswatini has long recognized the importance of research in informing policies, programming and responses. The minister says government has ratified the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, along other key human rights agreements. Shakantu was speaking during a virtual meeting, which is a side meeting of the United Nations General Assembly.
The International Organization for Migration facilitated a meeting to deliberate on issues of gender, migration, and the Sustainable Development Goals for developing countries, including the Kingdom of Eswatini. When officially opening the virtual meeting, the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Kusile Shakantu, shared the country's successes in the area of rectifying international conventions.
The Kingdom of Eswatini ratified the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, along with other key human rights agreements, including the 2 international covenants and the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. These fundamental instruments are duly integrated into our legislative and administrative system to ensure their effective implementation.
The minister commends collective efforts that countries have shown, which can play a huge role in the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. For Eswatini TV News, Sondo Mlangeni, Babane.
Government has announced the 29th of September as a public holiday. The announcement was made by the Acting Minister of Home Affairs, Chief Ndlaluhlaza Ndwandwe, in a press conference held in the Minister of Home Affairs offices in Babane.
In accordance with the Public Holidays Act 1938, I am pleased to inform the public that Friday, 29 September 2023, is declared as a national elections holiday in the Kingdom of Eswatini. This holiday has been established with the primary purpose of ensuring that all members of the electorate, regardless of their employment status, have sufficient time to exercise their right to vote. This measure is crucial to guaranteeing the smooth running of the election process and fostering a truly participatory democracy.
International news. As Azerbaijan began talks with Armenians from Nagorno on Thursday, local residents of the breakaway enclave are accounting the cost of Azerbaijan's military intervention, with provisional reports suggesting there have been dozens of deaths and hundreds of injuries.
Escaping with everything they can carry. The rumble of mortar fire falling on the streets nearby. This is downtown Stepanakert, with more footage now emerging of the extent of Wednesday's bombing.
There are no military objects here, only residential houses. In the building there are pensioners and disabled people.
Until the announcement of a ceasefire came at 1 p.m, people here moved and lived in fear of being targeted. Here, parents transport their children to the hospital. At the entrance, ambulances drop off victims injured by mortar fragments. A provisional report suggests there have been dozens of deaths and hundreds injured. Despite the cessation of bombing, people here are terrified of the near future.
They call it death fire. I call it black hours, because these hours we are reaching some lists of the fallen soldiers. And when you're reading these lists, you can see your friend name, your relatives, just people who used to live here, who used to be happy here, who used to, I don't know, just live in their homeland.
Azerbaijan's 24-hour assault on the territory came in the midst of a humanitarian crisis here after a 9-month blockade.
Most of people spend in shelters, not only people from the capital in Stepanakert, but also from several villages. Last 3 months were very heavy for us because even humanitarian aid sent by several organizations and from Armenia weren't reach us.
The Azerbaijan government claimed it was a specific operation, but elderly residents show us their bombed-out homes, saying it was indiscriminate. Thousands of ethnic Armenians are now sheltering at a military airport close to the border, controlled by Russian peacekeepers, who say they're providing food and shelter in the midst of the evacuation.
During Wednesday's meeting of the United Nations Security Council, Russia's war in Ukraine took precedence in the speeches of world leaders who have been pulled into the conflict in different capacities.
Despite Russia voicing its strong opposition and in compliance with the organization's rules, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was the first leader to address the United Nations Security Council's meeting Wednesday. He didn't just condemn Moscow's invasion of his country, but also the Council's veto system that, in his view, enables it, and called for reforms.
It is impossible to stop the war because all efforts are vetoed by the aggressor, or those who condone the aggressor. There is a need for a system to prevent aggression through early response to actions violating territorial integrity and sovereignty of states.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov defended his country's military operations and turned the criticism on those supporting Ukraine.
The collective West, led by the United States, arbitrarily assumed the rank of arbiter of the destinies of all mankind and, overwhelmed by a complex of exclusivity, began to increasingly ignore the legacy of the founding fathers.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken decried Russia's belligerence as a clear violation of the UN Charter.
Some argue that continuing to stand with Ukraine and holding Russia accountable distracts us from addressing other priorities, like confronting the climate crisis, expanding economic opportunity, strengthening health systems. That is a false choice. We can and we must do both. We are doing both.
China opted to highlight its mediation efforts.
The core message is facilitating talks for peace.
After underlining his organization's commitment to the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of Ukraine, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for restraint.
This war is already causing limitless suffering. Its continuation risks further perilous escalation. There is never an alternative to dialogue, diplomacy, and a just peace.
Guterres added the United Nations will continue working toward a peaceful resolution to the conflict in line with the UN Charter, international law, and the resolutions of the General Assembly.
3 weeks after Ali Bongo Ondimba was overthrown in a coup, one of his sons and several allies of the ousted Gabon president have been charged with corruption and placed in custody.
3 weeks after the coup, Gabon's transitional government seems intent on putting words into action. 10 people associated with Ali Bongo's government were placed in custody on Tuesday and stand accused of a myriad of corruption-related charges.
Falsification of the president's signature, distributing and receiving undue sums, complicity in embezzlement of public funds, corruption, embezzlement of public funds, money laundering, complicity in money laundering, criminal conspiracy, usurping titles and functions.
The suspects were all arrested during last month's coup, which saw the military overthrow long-standing President Ali Bongo. They include former members of his cabinet, but also his eldest son, Noureddine Bongo Valentin. For many Gabonese, the arrests were a welcome sign of the military's willingness to put an end to the impunity of the Bongo era, decades marked by widespread corruption embezzling, and bad governance. In France, several members of the Bongo family remain under investigation in the so-called ill-gotten goods case. They're suspected of having benefited from fraudulently acquired real estate worth an estimated 85 million euros.
In our sports news, the Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, says the newly constructed Mkuzweni Technical Center will enhance regional football development programs, which will also benefit the country as a whole. Bulunga was speaking when officially opening the technical center at Mkuzweni. It's 24 minutes after 7. We've come to the end of our English bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. The second break, we will return shortly.
Ngeke ngikuvotele bese unginiketa 200 emalangeni. Hayi ngeke akungelula.
Liphalishe iqiniso siyalifuna kepha kube kuyangami ngabe sawukhetha nababantu labatawuletha lushinjo balethe inguquko umuntu lotawuthi bantu labasha mmango wakithi manifuna kuphila manifuna liphalishe naku lekufuna nikwenje hayi ukuthi umuntu utasinika liphalishe utasinika mase kangenile sitawusala sibe yini
Ezehle ushaya yona wena sibamvu labasha mhla ka29 asambeni siyawucedzela naku lesakuqala siphume ngetinkhani siphelele simake sure ukuthi siyavota
ummango wonke sambeni kuma secondary elections sikhethe nangumuntu wenhlikiyo yethu masingakhetha kahle singabe singcobile mngani
hayi la basinike amapalishi bani labatasifundisa ukuthi lipalishi
ulakanje njani uqisile mngani
yemngani amasambe nkosami nayi nale khumbi yasemphakathi seyifikile
Bongosi egameni lelibandla letelkhetho nemingcele tingudla ngingusihlalo walo libandla sihlanganyela nesive malangeni lamahle kuhalalisela ingwenyama inkosi yethu inkosi Mswati wesithathu minyakeni lamashumi lasihlanu nakuhlanu kanye nelive longana kundiphethe wethu ukuthi lo lingana nabo netinsuku tengwenyama letingu 55 nananathi sisive seMaswati sina leminyaka ilengu 55 sesikhululekile ngandiphethe siyabonga ke bongosi sisahalalisele makhosi ethu nelive ukuthi nebayitolo lekungibona lesithi te basebenta lelive makhosi ayitolo nesive seMaswati sonke sayitolo ngoba lokhu lesesifike lamhla siyasakukhanza sakuhala lesikuhalaliselako ngilokuchamuka kibo lekumbita ke ukuthi ke nathi siMaswati njengekukhonjwa indlela makhosi ngosi yelive sichubekeni silibeke live libe ngiloko lekungona lesikukhanzile nathi nalokungcono Maswati silibandla lelikhetho nemingcele sisahalalisele makhosi nelive ngandiphethe sijinga siphinze futhi siwabongele makhosi ngemsebenzi losedulo eveni welkhetho sisitengcile tigaba tokuqala lebesikito nyalo ke sekuseleke sigaba lesesisedulu ke yokungisona sona ke lesisitawu siniketa iparlamente yethu isinikete futhi emabandla enkundla lekuba ubuchopho ke lobakhiwa induna tetinkundla lekungibona bosihlalo bese ke nabobuchopho bemiphakathi benkundla labakha lobuchopho lelibandla lenkundla lekungilona lelisebenzisana kanye neparlamente nahulumende welive leMaswati wonkana bongosi emalanga umuntu akandlulise lokuthi umhla ka 2026 we special voting bese ulandzela ke mhla ka-29 September walolu khetho lelukhulu lukhetho lwesibili lesongulona loluyi-final. Ngalawo magama amalangeni sikhutha lwandle sibongele live eBongozi. Bayethe wena waphakathi wena ungangezindaba.
It's not by the efforts of one, but by the combined efforts of many. You're going to reach people that nobody else can reach. I'm going to mobilize every single person here to win souls. God preserved you for this moment. The glory of God's going to run through this land, so much so that it shall shake every realm, shaking it to the very core. And there's nothing the devil can do to stop it. I come and light a fire and watch it burn. God's not finished with Africa. In the divine atmosphere of heaven, the Lord will forge in you that which He wants you to do. And the grace to carry the mantle will be upon your life. And God has raised you up for this hour.
Welcome back. Sekucele nje ama-hour nje lambala ukuthi afike lapha eveni Dr. Brown kodwa ubamba leti inkonzo leti ngicela nje ukuthi bona khona la kumabona ukuthi Holy Ghost and Fire Tour njengoba solo nje sikhulumisana naye Apostle Abednego Njangase asichazela kabanti ngato leti inkonzo nguDr. Brown ngeloya Rodney Brown lo tawuvakashela emavela ngo-13 of ayekhathi live leSwatini lapho achuba khona nje tinkonzo leti banjwa kokulamave lamaningi bese kuthi ke emva kwalokho kuba ne-business seminar letawubanjwa ngemsombuluko solo nje siyazivetela sive ukuthi tinkonzo timcwangane kubaleka kangakanani ukuthi sibe ingcenye yato titapete banjele khona lapha eMavuso Sports Center. Sifuna ukuva ke kubabe Apostle Abednego Njangase ukuthi ngabe amalungiselelo sekahambe afika phi ufika nini yena Dr. Rodney Brown in lesingayikatsa gito letinkonzo letitawuthatha emalanga lamabili asekuvusele futhi impostoli sabanga ukuthi ukhona futhi namuhla sekusele nje vele nje less than 24 hours ukuthi lo msebenzi omkhulu angaka sale wendeka Holy Ghost and Fire Tour. Ngicabanga ukuthi nelesicubulo vele siyadichaza ukuthi vele kutabe kuyifire nje kutabe kumnanzi impela ade mhlambe kukhumbuta nje umbukeli ukuthi vele kahle kahle tinkonzo tingane kuma nje nembukeli lo ucala nje ukusibukela ukuthi tine tinkonzo leti kahle kahle.
Ngibonga kakhulu Lungelele nebonga amakagula kakhulu. Wayibeka kahle lento ngaze ngazwe umnandi nje lami ngihleli lapha uyibeka uyichaza ngempela iqiniso ukuthi sekusele nje sesibala ama-hour uma sibuka ukuthi kusasa ngo-1 o'clock indiza yakhe Dr. Rodney Howard Brown iyahlala KM3 airport sesimbheke ngabomva amehlo ngoba siyazi ukuthi uNkulunkulu umphathisa izinto ezinkulu kangakanani ngoba umuntu ogcotshiwe njengalendlela egcotshwe ngayo le ndoda kaNkulunkulu umuntu akagcotshelwa yena kodwa ugcotshelwa abantu manje nayo lokugcobo olulaphezulu kwakhe ngolwethu kodwa kuya ngathi ukuthi demand seyifaka kangakanani kulogcobo le demand ke seyifaka ukuthi siphelele njengoba sowushilo nje umthombeni ukuthi ufuna siphelele eMavuso Sports Center noma eMavuso Trade and Exhibition Center lapho izabe zibanjelwe khona le imvuselelo kusukela kusasa nje ngo-5 in the evening zabe zibile eMavuso kusho ukuthi yilo nayilowo kufuna shaya imarathon ejakele eMavuso ngoba uma uzawuhamba kancane uhudula inyawo ngwenzeke uyithola indawo ungasayitholi noma sowuyithola le muva kanti Ngathi ungahlalela phambili nawo sheshe ufike kuwe lokugcobo.
All right. So njengoba kuvelile nje kule video babe njengase ukuthi utawuvakashela emave lang 13 nelivele Eswatini lo fire ekhathi ukuphinyalo nekuva nje ukuthi ngabe usikhatha kanjani thina singeSwatini emave lapha eAfrica angaka isibe nenhlanhla lesithethe kuphi nje Nkosi yami.
Usuke eNigeria la iqale khona waye Ethiopia wasuke Ethiopia waye Kenya wasuke Kenya waye Malawi wasuke Malawi waye Jos wasuke Joburg waye Cape Town usukile Cape Town baseThekwini manje lapho khona lapho ezawusuka khona kusasa nje uma sebeza ekhaya kwaNgwane.
Okay. So ngifuna sikhulume ke manje ngato letinkonzo ngoba I think beselo sikhuluma ukuthi vele ukuthi abane transport ukuthi abane mabhasi la tawa khona for service amaswati stawufuna kuta kuletinkonzo kusasa nangelisomvo. Ingabe senikhonileni mhlambe kubeka isikhathi ne particular area lapho khona service tawuthathwa khona ngasiphi isikhathi ngaliphi la?
Yes, indeed Mthombeni amabhasi asalungisiwe onke amabhasi asuka ngo4 o'clock kule indawo eyilandelayo eMbabane ibhasi elungisiwe igama layo Intando yemalangeni Express Intando yemalangeni Express isukela ebus rank eMbabane ngo4 khona kusasa nje lokusayo nangesonto I-contact person Mr. Brightwell Kunene nombolo yakhe ime kanje 7680 9662 7680 9662 ebese kuthi eBhunya igama lebus iPunctual Transport yona ke isukela nayo futhi ebus rank eBhunya I-contact person khona Mr. Bheki Mhlanga inombolo yakhe ime kanje 763 75 813 763 75 813 ebese kuthi kumathapha igama lebhasi yiDing Dong isuka khona mahala kumathapha I-contact person Mr. Menzi Shongwe nombolo yakhe 7622 6625 7622 6625 ebese kuthi emkhuzweni kwamanzini hayi kwahoho emkhuzweni kwamanzini ibhasi khona igama layo umgewu igama lebhasi isuka emkhuzweni kwamanzini yona isukela New Life Global Church next to Mkhuzweni Primary School and the contact person khona Pastor Sandile Motsa contact number yakhe 7642 9523 7642 9523 ebese kuthi ke laba abakhelene nomanzini bangesabi ukuze emvuselelweni bathi saba ne challenge mase kuphuma imvuselelo ebusuku ukuthi sifika kanjani emakhaya ngoba amabhasi akhona alungisiwe ukuthi laba abangenayo transport ayabathatha ebusuku kuze bafike emakhaya safely
laba kamanzini kuphela labanye ke bona
la kwamanzini nje silungisela indawo esema emacentelweni okwamanzini ngoba ezinye indawo sezingasishaya kakhulu eindlekweni
sesimele batilungiselele transport back to
kusho ukuthi nje laba abanye abayilungiselele bona i-transport lapho kungaka provide i-free transport khona sebangayilungiselele i-transport ukuthi beze kodwa laba abasemephathelweni ngamanzini abangesabi bona they'll be taken good care of kubalulekile nala emabhasini ukuthi umuntu angahambi yedwa bahambe babe igroup ngoba noma seyibehlisa ibhasi ebusuku ngeke badeliver emakhaya izabe ehlisa la ibathathe khona ebese bayakwazi ukuthi bahambe in groups ke ukuze singavelelwa ingozi
ukubuta nje aphose ukuthi ithini kahle kahle vele imessage mhlawumbe leta nayo Dr. Rodney Brown ngiyakholelwa ukuthi mhlambe senike nambukela kulamanye amave nakashumayela nalapha eSwatini uyeda nje kusasa ingabe vele mhlambe uhamba nje ngamuphi umlayedo ezahamba onke lamave losuku
njengoba itheme yakhe isho Mthombeni Holy Ghost and Fire tour kusho ukuthi nale crusade solo Holy Ghost and Fire vele nje kuvutha umlilo uma unenkabunkabu unentshisekelo ulangazelela uNkulunkulu ukuthi agcwale empilweni yakho kusho ukuthi le crusade ilungiselelwe wena ngoba ngiyazi ukuthi wonke umzalwane uyalangazelela ukuthi impilo yakhe ivuthe kungabe ngumzalwane nje olothile kungabe ngumzalwane oyisitashi kodwa kube ngumzalwane ogcwele amandla sezulwini isho njalo le message nje ukuthi wonke umuntu ozayo evulekile enhlizweni uzawugcwalisa ngamandla kaMoya Ingcwele uzawugcwaliswa ngomlilo ahambe ngomunye umuntu
yeah kunjalo nosima kakhulu Apostle kepha inkonzo icala ngabani nga5 ntambama
inkonzo nje iqala nga5 ntambama sibe sesiphelele sonke ineyingceko zenkosi ngiyaphila kuzo ngiyimema siyilungiselele special ingceko zenkosi by 6 o'clock hayi ukuthi baqala ukufika babe sebefike bonke sebehlezi kahle bebekiwe endaweni zabo ngoba asifuni baphatheke kabi abafundisi sifuna baphatheke kahle ngoba lo mhlangano nje ngowabo bazosupporta umlingano wabo incebo yenkosi enye babeko kahle endaweni zabo ba enjoy service to the fullest bangabe sebabekwa lemuva ngoba ma inkonzo siqalile asinandaba ukuthi ubukhulu bakho nobubanzi bakho obungakanani vele uzawuhlala emuva
Alright, nosima kakhulu mbukeli sothi vele tikhathi tekufika kiyo inkonzo lecala ngensimbi yesihlanu ntambama ngemgcibelo kanye nangelisongo Dr. Rodney Brown yena uyatheleka lapha eveni kusasa siphathelete makethe sibene temidlalo
This weekend is Eswatini, your official weekend party starter. Tune in for the best of entertainment. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send your shout-outs. Be sure to catch our movie segment where we review and give updates on all latest movies. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Right, 42 minutes after 7, asiphinza sikwamukele ehlelweni kwalelo muhle going for a big weekend. Kutemidlalo, the Momo Cup is here. Big derby, we saw the story, parties omsibi, asibekela itinzabeni, sukwini la itolo. Siphinza sadlala ke, nalo mhlala phaka Kusile breakfast show. Fabrice Msonera, welcome to the program. The biggest game, Mbabane Swallows. Asithinje the Mbabane derby. What a game.
I don't know how to put it, but I think when you talk about being the biggest weekend in the fixture of in the history of the Premier League games, I think for us, now Kurumanga Chiefs and Pirates, this is Chiefs and Pirates in our land. The biggest game. It doesn't matter what they are playing which competition, but what a game. It came early. Then we can expect that, but it is here because the draw has resulted in this. But we can't wait. It's just tomorrow at Mofso Sports Center, and what a game once again.
Which team is the favorites to win it?
Well, the funny thing about derbies and games like this, not another team that is on form is likely to win the game. So I'm not trying to say we can favor, Mbabane Highlanders, but in knockout tournaments, they have really stood a chance in the past. So Who knows? Anything can happen. Swallows are back in there. Some of the key players are back. Yeah, there's a team that is on form. There's a team that has good record in knockout tournaments, which is Highlander, and great supporters. Swallows is on form. So in as much as they were thrashed 6-0 in Trade Fair Cup, but they have got what it takes to win this game. But I'm just giving to anyone who's ready on the day.
Timestamps, 4 p.m., am I correct, for the derby?
Yeah.
2 p.m. for the other game?
Yeah, 2 p.m. to the other game. These are the supporters. They always come in their numbers. And when you talk about supporters, seating arrangements now, they have been actually decided, if you know Mavuso, just the ground, decided the downside of Manzini, far corner, that's where Highlanders, and the other side is Mbabane Swallows. So 4 p.m. prior to that, at 2, there's the first game between Lozita Spurs and Pigs Black Swallows. But these two teams, when they enter the stadium, I was actually talking to the public relations officer of the tournament, Tebiso Manyati, last night on the sports show, say, the tickets are just being sold in their numbers. So we might have a challenge tomorrow when it comes to the game. But we've seen these goals in the past. What is stopping us from once again enjoying this? It's going to be one of the biggest games. The supporters, they are just
Which team do you see winning it all?
Like I said, I'm giving to anyone. But yeah,
why are you scared to pick
Swallows stand a chance. They stand a chance.
Winning everything? Which Swallows?
No, not winning everything. Just winning this game. But remember, we have Pigs Black Swallows, we've got Lozita Spurs, but we've got Nzingizini and Moneni waiting the other side. So whoever, the two teams that comes from these 4 games on Saturday, they will meet Nzingizini Hotspurs and Moneni Pirates.
Well, unlike you, I'm not afraid to say that I'm rooting for Nzingizini Hotspurs to win everything.
It's early to say. It's really early to say. Swallows could probably go all the way and win it. Highlanders could go all the way and win it. Yeah, it could be possible, but let's see what the result is going to look like on Saturday. Then we can make a decision to say who stands a chance.
MTN Premier League back on Sunday. We will see Denver Sundowns versus Moneni Pirates at 3:30 p.m. playing Galanga Technical Center. Green Mamba will also face off Ilovo FC 1:30 p.m. Galanga Technical Center. Interesting fixtures here. Which is the biggest game for Brice?
I think for me, I wouldn't really say which is the biggest game, but I think the second fixture on top of the screen is a mini Manzini derby. So we talk about Pirates and Denver Sundowns. I think apart from Wanderers, these are the two giants of the Manzini city. So it's going to be a tricky one to see what Ikabot Masocha is cooking for for Moneni Pirates. We've seen the improvement. But another game against Highlanders against Zulini United, it's another game that we can look for as well. I'm not surprised. It's early in the season. Madlenya still leading. They have played 1 game, 3 points. Some of the teams haven't really collected maximum points. Look at where the Highlanders are, Moneni Pirates and Rangers. So after 5 games, we then start getting the shape of the season to say, where can we put such and such teams? Look at the defending champions, Green Mamba, number 5. So it's early in the season. But after 5 games, we will get the shape of who is likely to take the league.
After 5 games, who do you see up there?
I really don't have a doubt that Green Mamba can defend the title. I've seen what they're capable of. I saw them trade fair. I saw the opening game against Young Buffaloes. Yeah. They're just too much. They're just excellent. Textbook goals and everything. So they have what it takes to go and defend this title. Beautiful football by the coach, Enes Mavuso.
Let's talk about the UEFA for Brice. It's back. A lot of excitement around it during the course of the week. Yeah, some of these results are very painful. Manchester United, painful for Manchester United.
I wouldn't really say it's painful for Manchester United.
You wouldn't say?
I wasn't expecting such results. I was actually expecting to, just for Bayern to go all the way, just maybe hit them 5-1 or 5-0. But for the game to end 4-3 away, it's not that bad. If really the way they are on form, Bayern Munich are on form, and Manchester United, they have challenges. If it was 4-0, then I would say that's the true reflection of how the teams are. But 4-3, because if you look at the goals that Bayern conceded on the day, some of those goals are silly goals. Because if they go to Old Trafford and just play 1-0, then the game is square.
Are they capable of doing that? Just judging of how they've been playing outside of just UEFA?
They are capable on home soil, and they're capable watching these results. That's what I'm saying. Bayern, they shouldn't really get carried away to say there are issues at Manchester United. We're gonna go to Old Trafford and just make changes. They just need to maintain their great performance, and defensive work is needed. So I'm not really impressed. But what I've really liked, I mean, let's talk about this team and this guy, because when you talk about Madrid and you talk about Bellingham, he's doing such a marvelous work. But I think this is the biggest result of the
Arsenal.
midweek. Yeah,
Cruising
after 5 years absence in the Champions League. They are back with 4-0. The defending champions, of course, against Zvara, 3-1 on home soil. You would expect that, 3-1. That's also not a true reflection of what I was expecting. I was expecting them just to win probably 4 or 5-0. But Barcelona impressed me.
What is telling, though, Fabrice, before we go to Barcelona, if we look at Manchester City and we look at Arsenal, the way that they are performing on their domestic league as well as, UEFA, are we really seeing Arsenal being a contender just like last season, possibly dethroning Manchester City this season?
We'll talk about the league. I'm a bit worried, and this is some of the things I've been telling the Arsenal supporters. Maybe for UEFA Champions League, it's still also early to say.
Okay.
We'll wait for the knockout stages. But for the league, quickly, I'm worried because now this season, some of the teams are on form. Liverpool is back on form. Tottenham looks like they're on form. Unlike last season, it was just Arsenal and Manchester City.
Yeah.
So now some of the teams are on form, so it'll be tricky.
We'll talk about the league, like you said, but Barcelona, again, cruising against Antwerp.
A true reflection.
5-0.
A true reflection of the game. I think
Felix Brace.
Yeah. I think they're doing the most. That was beautiful, 5-0. PSG on home soil against BVB, Borussia Dortmund. I wasn't quite impressed as well. I saw them. Dortmund wasn't really doing their best. They should have also maximized in this game and get 4-0 before their return match, maybe in Germany. But Champions League being Champions League, anything is capable. But for the teams that won, they deserved it. They performed well.
PSG will be, of course, facing Newcastle on Wednesday, October 4. Really going to be an interesting game there. But, there's a player, you know who it is, a PSG player that got signed that hasn't scored yet.
Is it a player that because you like him or Ousmane Dembele?
The expectations around him.
Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah.
I think he's just as good. If you look at how he used to be in Barcelona for national team France, and he's got a good relationship with Mbappe and the likes of Hakim. So yeah, he hasn't scored, but I'm expecting him at some point just to pick up his game. He's still capable of doing what supporters want him to do.
Spanish La Liga, Alaves versus Athletic Club, 9 p.m. this weekend. But before we get there, let's start at South Africa. We see Kaizer Chiefs facing Mamelodi Sundowns. For me, that's the biggest game. Even though I'm a Pirates fan, I really want to see how Kaizer Chiefs is going to match up against a very good Mamelodi Sundowns squad.
Like I was telling you when we started talking about the South African League, Sundowns, they have got nothing to worry about. They will just defend the title. We saw what they did midweek against Pirates. Now they're playing Chiefs. So the next game, they have got SuperSport United. Then you've got Cape Town. So they have actually they're just done with some of the big guns. So some of the results, midweek results, Skukuni against Royal AM, 1-0. I want to talk about the game down at the bottom of the screen. Chippa United, Richards Bay. We have a player there.
We love Richards Bay.
Yeah, we have a player.
Richards Bay, as Eswatini, we support Richards Bay.
He's been great and scoring the previous game against against is it Cape Town City? Yes.
Yeah.
And then coming into this game, in that goal, that even though they lost the 2-1, that goal he assisted. He's been very, very good. He's on form, and I think he deserves that. So for me,
did he come from the bench on this game as well?
No, he started the game.
Okay,
he started the game and he finished it. Yeah, he started the game and finished it. So I wasn't really surprised, and he's picking up his game slowly and surely.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe by next season he could get a better team. Not to say Richards Bay is not a better team, but maybe a bigger team than Richards Bay under the Premiership.
It's 53 minutes after 7, Fabrice. I'm a bit worried in the interest of time. I really wanted us to really talk about the English Premier League, but we'll have to, select a few games there and not talk about all the fixtures here. Manchester United at Burnley, Brentford, Everton.
I think Sunday is the biggest game at 3 o'clock at Emirates. Arsenal versus Tottenham Hotspurs. It's a derby, North London derby.
Have you noticed that for you, every Arsenal game is the biggest?
No, it's not the case because the fixture it is. Okay, let me give you an example. The league itself is just one of the strongest. It's the
Yeah.
league. It's the league. Crystal Palace Fulham is also another big game because it's the derby. It's London as well. They're just separated by a bridge, you know. But what really makes Arsenal supporters and Tottenham supporters to watch this game, it's on the top 3 calendar of some of the biggest games in the English football. We talk about City, Man United, Liverpool, Everton. So when we talk about this game, it's just it's what you should expect.
Of course, Tottenham Hotspur is sitting at position 2 currently on the log. Arsenal at number 4. So I guess it's justified.
This is what was worrying me earlier on to say. Last season we just had 2 teams. Yes, it's early in the season, but for Liverpool and Tottenham to be back on top of their game, this is worrying because now there's no room for error. Before, City will lose points, Arsenal will take over. Arsenal will lose points, City will take over. But even if Tottenham might not maintain this performance, but Liverpool, they're capable of maintaining this performance. So now, the race for the title, it's not only 2 teams like last season. We're likely to have the 4 teams in the race for the title. So it's a tricky one for teams like Arsenal who failed to maximize in last season. That's what I was telling some of the supporters to say. If you failed to win last season trophy,
Can you say
don't
some
expect
of the supporters.
Yeah, if you failed to win last season trophy, don't expect to win this year's trophy. But for teams like Manchester United and Chelsea,
Very painful, man.
Yeah, it's
Very
quite
painful.
For United, I think they have maybe time. But for Chelsea, I mean, you change your coach, nothing changes.
Newcastle United as well.
Yeah.
Right there. I think from number 12 to number 14, shambles and nothing anyone would have expected when the season started.
And it's the very first time, actually, I will say that it's the very first time where we have got newly promoted team who are yet to get 3 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luton are promoted, they have got a 0. Sheffield United, they just still have a 1 point. And look at Ben, that's coached by Vincent Kompany, they also have 1 point. And the 3 teams really stand a chance to once again go down next season. Let's see how it runs up, but I've watched them. I watched the Burnley game against Nottingham Forest, 1-1.
For Newcastle, Manchester and Chelsea, do we still go by sentiments of it's still too early in the season to maybe say we are not hopeful that they will bounce
It's
back?
not where they're going to finish. It's not ending the season for them, but it's not where they're going to finish. You would expect Manchester United to be there 5-6, Chelsea to be 6-7. Yeah, they'll pick up their game. Give them time, they'll pick up. But I don't see them reaching the peak where City is, Arsenal is, Liverpool is. These guys are just ruthless. They just hit anything that comes in.
But again, briefly, the Manchester City and Arsenal race, and I'm saying it's a race even though Arsenal is still sitting at position 4, because if you see how they're playing, even outside of the English Premier League, you can really see that these people are really hungry.
What supporters now need to know, the next game, Arsenal will play Manchester City after Tottenham. The next weekend, it's Manchester City. So we get the true reflection what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I still need to confirm if it's away at Etihad or at Emirates, but the next game after Tottenham is Manchester City. La Liga also being one of the league that we want to talk about. It's another Madrid derby on Sunday when Atletico Madrid takes on Real Madrid, and I think
that's a win for Real Madrid. I can put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, it's a big game to watch. I'm not shocked by the results so far. The 2 teams leading the race, but number 7, they need just to pick up their game. I don't think also they'll finish number 7. Probably they'll pick up their game at some point and finish 3rd or 4th. But those 2 teams, number 1, number 2, it's just a do or die until the last minute of the season.
Yeah, Barcelona, when all is said and done, Barcelona will finish at the top of this thing.
We yet to see that because now Madrid is rejuvenated, so these young players have got what it takes. Some of their key players are injured, but they still have
saying
the
that
squad.
because you're a Real Madrid supporter, but that's fine, Fabrice. I think we've come to the end of our conversation with regards to these games, but again, I just want us to highlight the biggest game, the Momo Cup 2023 playoffs, Mbabane Highlanders versus Mbabane Swallows, 4 p.m., Mabuso Sports Center.
News, they just keep coming. When you talk about football and sporting activities, they just keep coming. We've been made aware that, there is the Ngonyama Cup also today. We can't really confirm is it a launch but we've been called as journalists to say Velane Engani Namohlanga 11, something is being cooked. The return of one of the biggest tournaments in the land, the Ngonyama Cup. can't wait.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
But we've come to the end of our conversation, Fabrice. The end of the show as well, from myself and Fabrice. Tidlala Fabrice. Sidlala kamnandi.
Ibandla letelukhetfo nemingcele Elections and Boundaries Commission bathi sasive kutsi kuvota ngalokukhetsekile special voting kutawuba mhla tingemashumi kulesetulu 26 September 2023. Kanti lukhetfo lolukhulu lona lutawubanjwa mhla tingemashumi kulesetulu 29 September 2023. Ngete ngasala nasakha live letfu.
Ngeke ngikuvotele bese unginiketa 200 emalangeni. Hayi ngeke akungelula.
Liphalishe iqiniso siyalifuna kepha kube kuyangami ngabe sawukhetha nabantu labatawuletha lushinjo balethe inguquko umuntu lotawuthi bantu labasha mmango wakithi manifuna kuphila manifuna liphalishe nakule kufunani kweni hayi ukuthi umuntu utasinika liphalishe utasinika masekangenile sitawusala sibe yini
Ezehle ushaya yona wena sibamvu labasha mhla ka29 asambeni siyowucedzela naku lesakuqala siphume ngetinkhani siphelele simake sure ukuthi siyavota
ummango wonke sambeni kuma secondary elections sikhethe nangumuntu wenhlitiyo yethu masingakhetha kahle singabe singcobile mngani
hayi la basinike amapalishi bani laba